There's a subtle growing tension that's been around for a long time, but it seems to have been getting worse in the online book world, whether it's on BookTube, BookTok, Bookstagram, or your favourite bookish podcasts, Goodreads even. It's not just about taste or genre, it's something deeper, something that has more to do with how we think about books, and less to do with what books we read. It's anti-intellectualism. And it's creeping into the space that should thrive on curiosity, conversation, and critical thought. I'm Will, I host the Board Book Geek. Please consider becoming a member, joining my Patreon, or checking out my Substack. There's a lot there, and every little bit helps support the channel, and if you don't want to do that, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Everything helps the algorithm. Let's start this week's episode. Now, before anyone starts sharpening their pitchforks, let's clarify something. This isn't about discussing romance, cozy fantasy, contemporary fiction, or light-hearted reads. It's not about saying you shouldn't read for comfort, happiness, or to escape from a difficult world. Books should be a refuge. They should bring happiness. But there's a difference between reading for fun and reducing reading to a consumer product. There's a difference between loving a story and being unable to handle critique of that story. And there's a real issue when readers who want to go deeper, who want to engage with the theme, structure, politics, language, or subtext, are not met with disagreement but passive-aggressive comments, accusations of elitism, or even outright hostility. Before anyone starts sharpening their pitchforks, seriously, let's clarify something. This is not about discussing romance, cozy fantasy, contemporary fiction, or anything. I'm not saying you shouldn't read for comfort, joy, or to escape a difficult world. Books should be a refuge, and they should bring happiness. But there's a difference between reading for fun and reducing reading to a consumer product. There's a difference between loving a story and being unable to handle critique of that story. And there's a real issue with readers who want to go deeper, who want to engage with the theme, structure, politics, language, subtext. They're met not with disagreement, but with passive-aggressive comments, accusations of elitism, or even outright hostility. Hi, my comment section sometimes. A pattern has emerged. Someone expresses a nuanced or critical opinion about a popular book, and suddenly you're being told that you're a gatekeeper, overthinking, or ruining the fun. You see comments like, let people enjoy things, stop being negative, you're just negative, this isn't that deep, it's fiction, calm down. There's a whole list of these type of comments. The reactions are telling because in most cases no one is attacking anyone's enjoyment. What's happening is that someone is daring to ask more of a book than just entertainment. Someone is analysing it, exploring it, questioning it. And that, for a growing portion of the community, is perceived as an insult. And here's where things get kind of complicated. A lot of the backlash doesn't come from content creators. Some does, but not all of it. Most of it comes from viewers, listeners, and commenters. It comes from people who project themselves into the books they read, and they take any criticism as the book as a criticism of them. So this brings me to another point. The way reading has become about numbers, not thought. The obsession with reading challenges, wrap-ups, TBRs, hauls, Goodreads goals has created a strange atmosphere where reading is more about how much you can read than what you take away from it. I read 200 books this year has become kind of a flex, but no one is asking how many of those books actually challenged the reader. How many made them uncomfortable in the best way possible? Made them think, made them slow down. There's an entire ecosystem online where self-worth is tied to how many books you can speed through. And when the more analytical or critical readers point out that the book is shallow, problematic, or just poorly written, and by the way, I hate the word problematic with a passion, but it seemed to fit here, it threatens that entire framework. Suddenly, the issue isn't the book, it's the person who dared to question it. Another phenomenon that's fueling this anti-intelligence backlash is the way that some readers insert themselves into stories. especially, well, morally grey fantasies and popular romance. And they treat those characters like a reflection of their identities. Now, this isn't inherently bad. In fact, finding yourself in a character can be powerful. But when people equate a book's value to how much they personally identify with a character, criticism of that character becomes a personal attack. Suddenly, this character is poorly developed. Becomes, you think I'm poorly developed, and that's where the discourse collapses. You often see this in the way people defend toxic love interests, thinly written blank slate protagonists, or tropes that, well, Colleen Hoover? Their response isn't analytical, it's emotional, it's defensive. It's not like I like this despite the flaws. It's how dare you say this has flaws. What I find really disheartening is that there's a lot of this energy, the defensiveness, the projection, the rejection of critique, stems from a loss of curiosity. Somewhere along the way, large parts of the online reading community stopped asking questions like, what is this book trying to say? Who is it for? What ideas does it hold or challenge? What's missing from this narrative? What is it borrowing from or ignoring? Instead, the conversation becomes very quickly, did this book validate me? And that's a very narrow way to read. It reduces literature to an echo chamber, which is sad, really. Now, of course, this isn't everyone. There are brilliant, thoughtful content creators and engaged readers who welcome critique, embrace nuance, love having their ideas challenged, but the problem is loud and growing. And it's making parts of the book community feel shallow. That's a good way to put it. Reactive rather than reflective. Critique isn't cruelty. Analysing material isn't elitism. Not every book has to be a masterpiece, but some people want to be challenged. Some people want to wrestle with complex narratives. Characters who don't quite fit the archetypes. Messy stories that don't tie up neatly. Some people want to read slowly, thoughtfully, with intention. This doesn't mean they're better readers, but it also doesn't mean that they're book snobs. So, let's put this one out there. It's okay to read for fun. It's okay to read to escape. But it's also okay to read to question, to explore, to stretch your thinking, to engage critically with a text, even and especially if it's popular. It's okay to say this book wasn't for me and why, without being seen as an attack on someone else's personality. Reading isn't performance, it's not a competition, it's not an identity quiz. It's a conversation, and if we shut down that conversation the moment it becomes uncomfortable, we lose something vital, something that makes reading more than just scrolling with your eyes.